everyone. Today I want to talk about another new type of attack that is beginning to surface here in the threat landscape. As you all are aware, a couple months ago, this thing called ClickFix attacks were pretty big. It's basically where a malicious threat actor gets you to copy and paste a series of commands as sort of like in place of a CAPTCHA, right? And then you run those commands, and then you end up ultimately infecting your computer. Now, that's a pretty, not like, I guess, unique, but very interesting tactic in my opinion, right? It's very clever. Those who are, falling victim to those attacks, they don't think twice about that stuff. Or even, if you were in a rush, right, trying to do something, you wouldn't think like twice about it. Well, it's very interesting because the other day I was looking through, kind of like the cybersecurity news as always, and reading on some new trends and whatnot. And I found this article right here from Bleeping Computer, titled, "New FileFix Attack Weaponizes Windows File Explorer for Stealthy Commands." So right away, it kind of talks about how it's a variant of ClickFix, and it kind of gives you an overview of basically what ClickFix was. Kind of like I just briefly explained. You WinR, Windows key R to run, and then you paste in what they put on your clipboard, and then you'd kind of run their commands. And more than likely than not, you'd be downloading malware or ransomware from like a C2 server and all that kind of stuff, and it'd be kind of on that command, and you would almost, if you got that far, ran the command, that was almost it. You're kind of done for. But now, a little bit different in this time with FileFix, right? Instead of using copy and paste, doing Windows run, what it'll do is it'll put it'll copy and paste, but have you kind of open it up in like a file. We can kind of show you like the file path here below, and it'll have you use File Explorer to paste that file path in. A brief video here, we can kind of watch it, but essentially, when sharing documents, right, it'll have you copy the file path, paste it in your File Explorer. But, unbeknownst to the end user, right, unless you take a very close look, you can run commands beforehand. Like, for example, in this guy's example here, he's just running ping, right? We can go back here. He's just running ping. I don't know, I can't see it here with the title, but he ran ping, but a threat actor could put whatever they want there. It's very interesting because, as we saw in the beginning of that video, I can rewind that again, right? When he copies that file path for that shared document, what he does is you can only really see the file path, and you wouldn't think anything of it. You can see it, boom, right there. That's all you see. You don't think to go back and tab back to the title, especially if you're on a smaller type of screen. But, in my opinion, this type of attack, again, it's very clever, right? I don't even think about doing this, unless I probably fell victim to it. But that's just me being kind of gullible for the video here. But, these threat actors, it's always the simple stuff that seems to get you. So it's always, be very cautious and don't really copy or paste things. Or if something does not look right, please, take a look at the domain, look at the basic, kind of look at the website itself, run some basic, do some NS lookup, run some, I'm sure there's sites out there where you can, type in the website and have it be checked, right? Make sure it's an official, site associated with what you're trying to do. But essentially, so far, obviously, ClickFix has, been used a lot, right? But I don't think FileFix is what they're titling this. They're not seeing a bunch of that yet. But they're thinking this guy, Mr. Docs, the guy who kind of found out this flaw, he thinks it'll soon be adopted by some threat actors since, it's very similar to ClickFix, but, kind of scary in a sense, but, it's very unique and almost kind of cool to see. But, again, it's just another reminder to be very careful and, obviously don't copy and paste something unless you actually know, what it is and where it's coming from and what it's doing, right? You really you want to know all those details ahead of time. But with that being said, that's really all I have for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.